Faut que tu cuves. Que tu rentres chez toi.
T'es loin. Loin, 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 loin. C'est terrifiant, je te jure.
Arrête de faire ta folle, je peux plus supporter ça.
T'es une chienne de me laisser alors que je suis perdue et que j'ai peur comme jamais. Et si j'étais en train de crever, hein, tu ferais quoi?
Hey guys, welcome back to Spooky Tuesday, a weekly podcast where we're breaking down all of our favorite slashers, thrillers, monster movies, and black comedies on the new scariest day of the week. I'm Sydney Thompson.
I'm Monica Hyatt. My mic in front of my mouth.
Yeah, it's like my mic is not plugged in. It's been a week. We're all out of practice.
Who are you, Chelsea?
I will say as soon as I'm on the correct microphone.
I was like, wait,
It's
there's
not
something
even-
that's not here in front of my mouth. I'm like, oh, it's the microphone.
I can still hear you. I can super hear you now, but and I'm Chelsea Duff.
And this week,
There
we're
we go.
fucking it up royal for Pride.
Yay!
We're just three queer ladies who are trying our best.
We're just three
this
queer,
Pride
beautiful
month.
idiots.
Yes. Sydney, you're doing a really good job today. Honestly, though, like track record wise, you're like at a score 100s. Chelsea and I are already on the struggle bus, but we're gonna bring it back around.
Having your mic plugged in is pretty basic. I have gone a whole podcast episode without realizing it wasn't plugged in before.
I've also done that.
So, what are you gonna
Also,
do?
there's been like 3 episodes in the last 2 months where I've texted you and I've been like, I think your mic is off.
I think it was just one time. But yeah, I mean, it saved the day. I think it was Rocky Horror actually, because there was somebody else here, so it must have been Danny.
Yeah. Either way, it's fine. It's
Either
on now,
way.
and you sound so good.
Can you hear
so
me? Do I sound
good.
beautiful, crystal clear?
Crisp, so nice.
Gorgeous.
So, okay, it's Pride Month. We're doing another Pride movie. And this, I think I've said this for different Pride episodes before, where I'm like, this is the gayest movie we've ever done. This, I think, is the gayest movie we've ever done. I've said it before, but like we live to get better and gayer every time. So this is now the reigning champ, I think. It's
You
from
can always
28.
get gayer. Yeah, I mean, I'm
Yeah,
glad
yeah.
keep finding more.
Exactly. I can't wait for next year to top this, but right now this is it. It's Knife Plus Heart or Knife and Heart from 2018, and I'll just do the IMDb summary right now. Paris, summer 1979.
Oh my God, so
Anne is a
atmospheric.
producer of cheap gay porn. When Louise, I think that's how you say it. Louise, her editor and companion, leaves her. She attempts to get her back by making a more ambitious film with the flamboyant Archibald. Why is that the summary? That's so weird. Anyway.
Not a very good summary, frankly.
The beginning was really good. Paris, summer,
Oh,
1979.
I liked that bit. And I liked that Reddit.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
It doesn't
Yeah.
even mention the whole killer on the scene though, which you'd think would be a primary plot point to let your audiences know about.
Especially
Happens
yeah,
so
it's
soon
it's
in
a
too.
horror film, and that's like the opening sequence is that too. So interesting choice, but they're very mysterious. It's a mysterious film, so makes sense thematically. But yeah, we watched this movie. None of us had seen it before, but we got a bunch of recommendations from y'all to watch this movie when we reached out and said, "Tell us gay movies we should do." And thank you, because I really, really enjoyed this one a lot. How did y'all feel from the get?
This movie was really wonderful to take a nap to. Like the
Very
soothing
peaceful,
tones
super
of-
calming.
Literally, it was the music of a M83
M83. Yeah.
I was like,
That's why. That's why.
it was all like,
M83 got that.
and I was like lulling me to
Dreamy.
sleep and like soft French accents. I'm like, I don't want to read right now.
Yeah, that's the problem with the foreign film when you're sleepy, is it is so easy to not realize you're not paying any attention and then be like, fuck, like I have not
I
been
have
reading.
no
Like,
idea.
Well, so
Yeah, I
as
was
somebody
reading-
who has to have subtitles on all the time to like watch
Mhm.
anything, it doesn't mean that I pay attention to them a lot of the times, but like sometimes I do. But when I have to like read them to understand what's going on, it always puts me to sleep. So like I fall asleep during foreign films because I have to read to understand what's going on, and my brain is like, let's take a
That's
nap.
like your bedtime activity.
Yeah.
Do you read before bed a lot?
Yeah, I do.
Well, it's just
Yeah.
that sense memory, folks.
No, same. When I read like actual physical books, because I'm an audiobook girly, shout outs to my other audiobook girlies out there. If I
Hey.
read actual words on an actual page, I fall asleep within 4 minutes.
Yeah.
I have been going through a 100-page Agatha Christie book for like 4 years because I fall asleep like after one sentence. So I get
I
you.
have like even like when I read my Kindle, I don't know why, because I think it's like the light, or even though it's in dark mode, I can read that and like not sleep. But as soon as I get like a hard copy book, lights out. It's like
Nice.
asleep on
Something
my
so
face. I've gotten paper
analog.
cuts in my sleep because I've like
Oh.
slept with a book.
Jeez.
What is
At least
Are you
this
tossing
movie
and
couldn't do that
turning?
to you.
what's going on over
My
there?
Kindle would never.
Oh my goodness. Okay, well you're having a whole other experience. But yeah, I mean, it is hard when you're sleepy. I was reading an article about this movie and about how so much of it is like a tribute to Giallo and stuff like that.
Yes.
And I was trying to think of the only Giallo movie I've ever watched, and I fell asleep during it. And I was not the only one at the
No.
group movie watching party. And I remember at the end, somebody woke up and was like, "No, but I was listening." And it's like, well, but do you speak Italian? Because if you're just listening, but your eyes are closed because you're sleepy, like, unfortunately, it is hard to tune in. And I also got a little sleepy watching this. And I said, let me take a little 4-minute nap, and then I'm gonna be so rejuvenated. And I medium was, but yeah, I mean, very peaceful, calming vibes, frankly, which is kind of nice in a horror movie, you know, rare. Dreamy, beautiful. I don't know that I didn't necessarily like have fun when I was watching, other than the first scene when they revealed the dildo with a knife inside.
Switchblade dildo.
I had a lot of fun when that was revealed. But other than that, I did enjoy it. Like, I do think it's a beautiful movie, and I think
Yeah.
probably it's really smart, maybe smarter than I was able to appreciate in many regards.
It's really smart. It's like an ode to the Giallo films. I'm in the middle of like this insane movie marathon right now where I've watched like 15 movies in the last 72 hours or something.
She's really
like that.
cranking them out.
Maybe
Yeah.
a little bit less than that, but it's like an insane amount of movies. And a lot of them are from the era where like Giallos were very, very popular. And I've seen a couple. I wouldn't say the ones I've watched so far are strictly Giallos, but whatever. They got the 70s vibe down, like creating this movie like in 1979. Like they have that energy down. They also filmed it on like 35 millimeter or something like that.
Mhm.
So that goes a long way. But I love that it was an ode to the Giallo because like, okay, Giallo, if you're not familiar, is like an Italian slasher film that from that era, very popular in the 60s and the 70s, started tapering off in the 80s. And it's like this super high melodrama, like very like sexiest actors you've ever seen in your life, and it's all through the male gaze typically. And the killer is very similar to the type of killer that we have in this movie, not like his whole story, but like the spooky mask, you don't see them, blah 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 blah. You get
He's
like
totally
killer
hidden
vision
away.
sometimes.
Yeah.
Totally. But it's like always through this like male gaze, right? Because it's usually these sexy ladies that are getting slashed, and oh no, their boobies are out. and then they're
Oh, no.
dead.
Oh, no.
Like, it's like that. And can I just say, like, shouts out to the 70s, because I have seen, because of this movie marathon, like 4,000 pairs of tits in the last 72 hours. It's truly shocking. The rating system was either PG or R back then. And so, like, if it wasn't a kid's movie, it was a porn. And, like, wow. So this movie also gives you that too, because it's literally about porn.
Yeah, I think that's probably what makes it, well, not the only thing that makes it one of the gayest movies we've done, the gayest movie we've done, like you said. But the existence of actual gay porn on screen is, you know, really big bump, and it's when you're tallying
Yes.
things up, for sure.
Yeah.
But
For
this
sure.
is like the gay porn that you watch for the plot and like not for the sex.
Yes,
Like,
I
I
love
was so invested in the story.
Seriously,
Like, why
I
are
was
you
like,
making a movie if you're not trying to do a whole thing with it? You know what I mean?
Did
Like,
y'all ever watch the when like HBO used to play like in the 90s all the softcore porn like late at night?
I
and they would put it on
definitely
cable.
had
no.
nights where I was like flipping channels and found, not ever when I was like home by myself, so it was not something that like super got indulged in. But
We used to watch those at like
um,
sleepovers. Like we would stay
yeah,
up
I was gonna
late
say
and like
I was
and
on
we
a
would
school trip one
always
time.
yes, and it was so fun because you like watch all these like softcore porns and you're like in it for the plot. You're like making fun. You're like, oh my God, I can't believe they would. And it's there. Some of them are just so good, and I'm mad that they got rid of them.
I'm
Bring
sad
back
I never
what?
had this experience. I did
Oh,
not watch
Monica-
softcore porn with my friends as a kid. I like waited until like I was in 10th grade and I was like, Aline, what does orgasm mean? Or something like that. So like I was
Sweet
a little
baby.
bit behind the times.
Well, you
But,
got
yeah.
there. You watch
No,
hardcore
I got
porn
there.
now.
I have sex
so-
now, just in case anyone wanted to know. I know all about it. But yeah, no, I did not watch softcore porn, but like this was beautiful and is an incredible gay porn director. She's incredible. In that regard only.
But yeah, I mean, there's gay porn, so we've got gay guys, we've got people who are gay for pay, which is, you know, some people have to come into their exploration in their own ways. We've got
You make more money that way.
lesbians. Yeah, we've got transgender characters.
Yes.
We've got bisexual characters or pansexual
Yes.
characters. They're not using labels, but they're loving freely. They really said we'll go through the whole LGBTQIA plus alphabet for the most part.
Totally. Yeah. And we were talking about it in they/them, that they did the like skinnification of the queer community. There were some plus size extras, but they still did a bad job of that. It is France though.
I
and
was about
feel
to say it is France.
France kind of does that shit a lot. Love you, France. Not for that though.
I loved all the smoking. Go France. Like
Oh, well, that's just they have to be historically accurate and accurate. Just
they
in
do
general.
that. They still do that. So like
To be like, yeah, she smoked 3 cigarettes during this one movie. Yeah.
indoors. Love that. Also, the main actress is Lily Rose Depp's mommy.
Vanessa Paradis, which is the hottest name I have ever heard in my life, and she
Ugh.
is stupid gorgeous.
I didn't know she
and
was an actress. I thought she was like a model,
Model
maybe a
slash
singer,
actress.
right?
Yeah.
Ooh, she's a
Triple
triple threat,
threat.
folks.
she was great in this. She was
And
so
here's the
good in
thing.
this.
I love Lily Rose Depp. I know she's kind of getting like a lot of flack for the Idol right now.
I
But,
feel
like,
she's not
think-
getting it directly. She's just catching strays.
Yeah, like it's The Weeknd and Sam Levinson's fault.
Everybody's like, she's
Ugh.
doing her best, and we appreciate her efforts.
Like here's the thing. Her with Timothy Chalamet when they were like making out on that yacht was a great day for me. I made so many memes for that. I could not
I
be
love
stopped.
that.
I could
I
not
l-
be stopped that day.
I love that for them. That I like a lot more than him with Kylie, but we're not gonna.
Well,
talk
now
about
she's
that.
they're
dating
over.
They're over.
070
Good.
There's a
Oh.
no Lily Rose and Timothy. That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
No, I know. I'm just saying in general.
Now Lily
Mm.
Rose is dating a lady. She's dating 070 Shake.
Oh, really?
What a
Yeah.
name. I've never heard of this person.
Nice. Okay. But yeah, I mean, but it's crazy how much she looks like her mom. And I am obsessed with her tooth gap. Holy shit. Whew.
Me too.
Oh
I
my
love
god.
a tooth gap.
This was a great movie to be bisexual and like for, you know. It was just so great. Everybody was beautiful. Everybody was having a nice, fun, sexy sex time. And it was stunning. And then everyone was dying in really gruesome ways too. And that was less good. That was sad. Because Carl was such a beautiful little boy. And I feel so bad that he died. And it was so gruesome. I was like, that the reveal of the dildo knife is
Switchblade dildo.
Switchblade dildo. I'm so sorry. That's way cooler sounding than dildo knife. Especially how he like pulled it out like it was his penis.
Like a
and then he was like,
packer,
"Oh my
yeah.
God." Yeah.
I like thought he was gonna somebody whipped their dick out at me yesterday at a red light. And so I was a little when I was watching this today, I was like, oh no, not again.
You're a little traumatized, yeah.
And then I was like, oh,
Another
it's a dildo.
time.
That
It's
also,
not real, don't worry.
So like I was a little nervous. I was like, is this a woman killer at first? Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so I was
Yeah,
like, I was like, oh no, where are they going with this?
Girls don't do crimes. What's
Yeah.
happening here?
I
Well,
support
there's-
women's wrongs just as much as I support women's rights.
Well, there's also that moment also later on in the movie where they kind of make it seem for a second that Luis is the killer because that bird, there's this bird who's throughout in the
Mhm.
movie, a very special type of bird that is blind, and there's much lore around the bird.
Lots of
Blah, blah,
bird
blah.
lore in this movie.
We love bird lore. But the bird comes and sits on Luis's shoulder, and I was like, what? She and the bird have a
Yeah.
rapport? And then immediately it was clear that she couldn't have been the killer unless she did like she's a quick change artist, you know?
Yeah, but no, I mean that was supporting evidence for me for a different woman killer theory, which was that the main character herself, her name is currently escaping me.
And
Anne, thank you. That there was something going on with her, which obviously the movie was investing in that as like a theory that it was positing to audiences because
Yeah.
she has a connection to all these people, of course. She is like doing the interrogation with the police, and then it's like cutting to the porn sequence she's filming where she's cast a man to play her like role in the story. She casts Archibald. And then she reveals herself as the killer in that and is like, she got so invested in these gay porn movies that she thought she was a fag, is what it says. And
I love
you know,
that
they
everybody
really were like,
is using fag again.
it's Pride Month now,
Pride
so
Month.
it's fine for us to say this
for
month.
November.
Annie said it on
and
Rocky
Pride
Horror
Month.
Picture Show. We said it on They/Them last week. I pointed this out to Sydney. We also have to find a way to bring up something
Incorporate
else this
Glee.
episode. Yeah, Glee has come up on all of our Pride episodes so far this year.
Oh my god, how are we gonna get Glee into this? One of those guys had to
I'm
look
sure
like
we'll
a
find a
Glee
way.
character. But yeah, no, it's I'm glad that she didn't end up being the killer actually, because I think that would have been too on the nose. I really like
Mhm.
the parallel of her as the villain, as a villain, and the parallel with the actual dildo
Reveal.
switchblade killer. Like
Mhm.
I just think that she is exhibiting villain behavior throughout this. You want to
Yeah.
believe that she's a good person because she's our protagonist. We're seeing this through her eyes, kind of. But she is very, very similar to who the killer actually is, and her motives for all the fuck shit she does are very, very similar. But I don't think I should say it now because we're so early in the movie. But yeah, I just there's so many little bits of this movie that are so spectacular. Like I just want to take a moment and just say the name Archibald and just let that resonate with you, and then look upon his face and just see how he acts this entire movie. I love his character. He's so great in this. Ugh, he holds it all together. Also, shout outs to the fluffer.
My God, I
Yeah.
loved
Mouth of
him.
Gold.
The fluffer is the best. He does not get paid for
He's
the job.
just there for the love of the gag.
He's like, I live with my mom. Why do I need money?
I don't
Like,
need
I
money
get
to
to
suck
suck dick
dicks.
for
I do it
free.
for free. This is for
Wow.
art. This is for cinema. He is giving, not that they give his character so much, but you know, like maybe not even a name other than Mouth of God. Mouth of Gold.
Of God.
Mouth of God. He speaks the word of the Lord. Mouth of Gold. But he is at least bringing, you know, diversity of body representation to the screen. So that's something.
That's true.
He
That's
is here.
true.
He's present. And
I
he
love
is
that for him.
important to the job, to the work, to the art. It is crucial that he is there and that he participates.
Well, yeah, and he really does bring the plot, and back to what I was just saying about Anne being a villain. You know, he's the
Mhm.
one who like kind of puts it into stark relief how much of a bee she's being as her actors are starting to be killed almost systematically. At this point, it's only Carl who's been killed, so they're like, okay, it could be random, but Mouth of Gold is like, I talk to Carl all the time and he told me everything about his life and I'm gutted and you're making a porn parody of his death right now and we all know him. And this is like, Anne is so messed up. She's like, I'm going to make this amazing porn and it's going to get Luis back. It's going to get my girl back. She's going to be like, damn, this is cinematic gold. I love you. I'm back with you. Very interesting. Very interesting. Few too many nips of the whiskey, I think.
I also
Yeah.
love that Louise, her new girlfriend's name is Moon.
Yes,
that's a great
Moon
name.
is
I love
so
that.
hot. Moon is gorgeous. Moon's got it going on. Also, the poster for this movie is really, really cool. But when I look at it, there's like a Giallo style poster, not the main one. And they have the picture of the Switchblade killer on there. And he looks like old Greg, unfortunately. Like a lot.
You know what else he was giving
Like
for
a
me?
lot.
He was giving Brahms in The Boy.
Oh,
With the
Oh,
wild
we-
curly hair and the mask and like the crazy eyes behind it and
I see that. Leave it at that. Leave it ambiguous. Oh my god. But one of the things that I found was really, really interesting about this movie, I thought it was really moving. I was like really sucked in just by the visuals, the music, the whole experience. I was like giddy while I was watching this. And then I was even more so after researching it, because this whole movie is an allegory to the AIDS crisis in the gay community. And it's kind of like zooming in on that moment. And we brought this up actually on the Rocky Horror episode. That moment like right before shit hit the fan, where there was just like this beautiful sexual freedom in the gay community where people were free and living without fear and experimenting and were like bi and pan and not even identifying that way, just like experiencing free love. And this is like showing that moment like right before as like this insidious like killer, in this case like an actual person is coming in. But it was very similar to how like AIDS crept into the community for people at that time. And like, I don't know, I just think it was really excellently done.
yeah, I mean, not to talk about the end too much yet, but I think one of the things that's really interesting about that parallel too, and I thought really well done, was that the figures of authority who are supposed to be responsible to communities and to the communities they lead, even the parts that are less desirable to them, the authority figures are not doing anything, kind of like how
Nothing.
in the AIDS crisis they went, well, this is just affecting gay people, so really not my problem.
Mhm.
And it was up to the community really to take care of itself and to get involved and to push back and to say, we matter, we're taking care of ourselves, we're taking care of each other, we're moving things forward, like we're the ones who are going to be the heroes in our story. It's certainly not going to be the people who are just leaving us here to die because we're not a priority.
Totally. Yeah, like those cops did nothing at
Except
all.
smoke cigarettes.
Except smoke cigarettes, and the one cop with the Glass Eye. I've seen him in something before, and I can't figure out what it is. It's driving me nuts. Anyway, that was
Shall I
just
pull up
something
his
that I was
IMDb
going
and read
through.
it off for you?
I'm looking at the IMDb, and nobody has pictures. Like, were these all
I hate
actors
that.
that only did like one movie, and it was just this
Yeah.
beautiful movie where they were beautiful gay men doing a little porno?
Sure.
I guess so. I guess so. Ugh. Here's something that happened in the movie that was really interesting. Remember that part with the she-wolf and the older lady? And she's in
Oh,
the fishnet
yeah.
outfit?
And Anna's
I
at the
loved
bar.
that part. I really liked that part.
I
like-
loved one. The bear was terrifying. The paper mache head, stuff of
So
nightmares.
disturbing.
But I loved one. I love fake blood any chance I can get.
Yeah.
But also, it was like coming out of the claws, and that's how it
Yes.
was. And I was like, that is ingenious.
Super smart. Super smart. It looked really, really cool. But it was how, like, the story of that apparently was supposed to be like the human woman fell in love with the she-wolf, and like she, like, they're trying to be in like love's embrace, but like by being together it was tearing the human woman like limb from limb. And so it's supposed to be like an allegory to Anne and Luis's relationship, because like they had been together for like 10 years, so they're like super super in love for 10 years.
Madly, completely.
Does it
Fully.
say why they broke up? Like, do we ever
Because of
find
her
that?
addiction issues.
Mm.
She called in that first scene with them together and was like, I had a nightmare. I'm in the middle of nowhere. Come get me. And Luis is like, you're probably just loaded again. Like, you're probably out drinking.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah. And I mean, we can see how it, in that phone call even, she's mean. She's mean sometimes. When she is not getting her way, she's being an absolute cunt to you. And then when you go, you can't be a cunt to me, she's like, I'm sorry. And it's like, okay, actually, that does not make you not have been a cunt a minute ago. So, you know, you need to get your shit together. And then maybe, but you can't just force it through now.
You can't just like fuck up super hard and then say you're sorry and like beg on your knees. It doesn't like erase what just happened. She's rather unstable. Great at making porns, bad at being a girlfriend to Luis.
So great at making porns that it just might make someone fall in love with you or remember the deep held love they already have. But she will also scratch a mean little message into the film itself. So
oh yeah, that was so funny. I love the drama of this movie, the melodrama. I mean, that's some giallo shit too. It's like she saw Luis and Moon making out on the dance floor, and so she carved into the film negative of the dailies, like, you have murdered me.
Honestly,
Amazing.
that's some Scorpio shit right there. I'm just like,
yes,
I would absolutely do that.
100%. I could see you doing that. Very artistic of you, Sydney. I love that.
Thank you. So
know
creative.
how to get your point across.
You know,
Oh,
like devastating, but also slightly threatening.
Yeah, Jesus, the beautiful melodrama of it all. But the comparison stops there. Don't worry, Sydney. But yeah, I think it was also really interesting and really fucking confusing for me, at least, because this is in French and you're reading it the whole time. And I got a couple of text messages while I was watching this. Okay, Adam wouldn't stop blowing up my phone, so I looked away for a second. I was like, I missed this important plot point where it explains why Anne is having these dreams about someone else's life. But no, they do not explain that.
No, they do. Well, sort of. When they're at the picnic at the wrap party, and she is talking to the actress. What's her name? I was just looking at the cast and crew list and saw her name. Missia. I don't know however they said it in French. And she's like, let me read your energy. And she holds her hand. And then she says, you have a gift too. So I think her dreams are like sort of
She's like psychically
prophetic
connected
to some degree, or like
Yeah.
the dreams
No.
are coming to her,
killer.
but that's the only
Oh
explanation we get.
That's what I was gonna say. It's just that she's having prophetic dreams. I thought that like she was somehow involved with whatever happened with this fire. I thought they were like flashback dreams for like the whole first half of the movie, and so I was super confused. And then I also got confused about how she got to that house. I don't know how she got to that little house in the forest, and then she found the mom, and the mom was crying on Guy's grave. And then the mom tells her the whole story of all this stuff. I don't understand how she got there. She met that nice lady, the brunette, who
Archibald
drove her
called
around in the car.
Yeah, Archibald called and booked her a room at that house, which I guess is a bed and breakfast. And then the guy came and picked her up at the train station because he said it's hard to find. And then that's his daughter who was like, "I'll take you to the forest."
Okay, so there's no I thought it was like an investigation thing. I was like, when did she find out information that led her to this cabin? But it was just Archibald being nice.
No, well, so it goes
The
back to the
bird
guy with the
feather.
weird bird hand.
That was the
Yeah.
one thing the police did, is the police said,
Gave him the feather.
"Well,
yeah.
we won't investigate, but we'll give you this
Oh,
feather."
it's 'cause
And then
it's in
she
that
said, "Look
forest.
up birds
Mhm.
in the phone
I figured
book."
it out.
Yeah.
Okay,
they
let's talk
looked
about
up
that scene.
bird stores in the phone book.
They looked up bird stores in the phone book and found.
Did they find our friend
Bird's
Cooper's
Flesh.
bird store?
Guys,
I think that's where they went in the movie. I don't know why you missed it, but
our friend's dad owns a bird store, and we never stopped talking about it to him. We made him a fake Instagram. Sydney did. You and Alex
The bird
did.
air.
Called the bird air. Anyway, so that's where they went. No, but also I did like that. Like they looked at this beautiful feather, and like a blue incandescent light came from the feather
Yeah.
and illuminated this bird store. But, like this was like a black market bird feather deal that was going on. They like met at like a Masonic temple. It looked like in the middle of nowhere, and this like very stoic woman arrives, and then she has a secret man that knows all the bird facts. That was
With
really
the weird
interesting.
bird hand.
I
That's
loved the bird hand. That was so out of left field.
so out of left field. I was like, what?
Yeah, that was
he has
like,
a genetic condition.
I know, but it was getting
is there a real one that does that?
it was getting like for a second like surrealism, you know? Where it was gonna turn into like a different kind of movie, I thought for a second. I was like, there's a bird man. What's happening here? Anyway,
Birds.
I'm glad they did it. I liked that. And he was very cute, and I loved his bird hand. And he had beautiful talons. Very nice. And he knew a lot of bird facts. And as a novice birder, I was very impressed.
Yeah, he had great niche knowledge of the birds that allegedly only existed years and years ago. The blind birds of the forest who take away death and are there for the dying.
I live for bird myths.
We should
Like,
learn more bird lore.
I would think, yeah, I agree. You know how I'm into mythology. I want to know about bird related myths. Like, I love it. The bird, like, they would bring like dying people to this forest and just fucking leave them there in the middle of the night. And then the bird would take their death and fly to the sun. And then that's why they're blind, because they got too close to the sun and they went blind. They're doing a public service. These are very selfless birds.
I can't wait until I get older and just learn bird lore. That's going to be one of my hobbies. Like I
become a
hit
birder.
like 55. I don't want to be a birder. I want to know like bird lore.
You don't have to wait,
don't.
Sydney. Join me now.
No. That's an activity for once I can get a senior
I
discount.
do have to wait. Yeah.
People think it's hot. People think it's hot and cool. I was on the bike path and I saw an osprey and I pointed it out and a crowd formed around me and I told them about the bird and it was cool and they all thought I was hot and awesome. They said so. They said, that's so hot and awesome of you, young 30-year-old woman who knows about this bird. Youthful,
That's what they said
glowing,
exactly.
knowledgeable.
Wow.
Yeah. This is a direct quote.
Direct quote.
Anyway, bird facts. Okay, thanks for clearing that up because that is very clear in the film, but I was super confused. Just kind of lost the plot there for a second, I guess.
There was a lot going on. There were many times where I was like, am I gonna have to Google Knife Plus Heart explained after I watch this movie? And I did, just in case. But I feel like I got it on my own. Although it was interesting. There was a lot I didn't get. Like I didn't appreciate the giallo connection. I don't know that I would have come to the AIDS metaphor on my own necessarily. There's a lot of interesting stuff going on for sure. And I also don't know anything about 70s French porn personally. That's just not an area of expertise that I have.
Ooh, I know a thing. I know a fact.
Tell
Here's
us.
a fact that I found. Anne's character is based on French porn producer and director Anne-Marie Tency, a lesbian woman who made 101 straight, gay, and bisexual porn films between 1976 and 1983. Those films were credited as Tency under many different male pseudonyms and were produced throughout her production company, AMT, an acronym of her name. I thought that was cool. I did not expect it to be based on a real girly, and so that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean,
cool.
they named a bunch of characters after her and her collaborators, because Louise McKenna was named in reference to Louise Königswerther, who was Anne-Marie Tency's like real life editor and I think romantic entanglement.
Ooh.
Archibald is named after Benoit Archenoul, who was the close collaborator and who directed a lot of the films that she produced. And the cinematographer Francois Tabou is an anagram of Francois About, who was the cinematographer on some
They
of
had
those as
fun.
well. I know I said it Canadian, but I'm just doing my best over
Oh.
here.
No, I wasn't even criticizing you. You criticized yourself. I didn't even think that. I was just saying they had fun doing little anagrams and shit, doing these
Yeah.
little references. That's cute. I love it.
Yeah, no, they did have fun, but I read an article on Collider that was really good, and it linked to an interview with the director that I read. That's really cool as well. So I'll link both of those.
Yeah,
But
Jan Gonzalez.
he talked a lot about the influence of this woman who was making all of these films in the 70s, and what he took from her story and what he like left out of her story, wasn't interested in, because apparently she was like pretty abusive on set to her actors and
Brought
collaborators.
some of that in.
Yeah, he let some of it in.
Yeah.
But he really wanted to make it more of more romantic, more about like the love story between her and Louise in some ways. Obviously it's
Yeah.
not a healthy love story.
No.
The movie knows that. He knows that. But it's really interesting the way that he like connected it to the history of the time and these real people, while also, you know, playing with the story in his own way as well. So
Yeah, he was like, he's had this one quote that I loved, where he like loved how they were like expressing their love for each other like through the film negatives. And he had quoted saying like, I love this idea of the feelings going through the images like a venom, a love venom.
Ooh.
Love that. I love
that.
Yeah,
I
I mean, it's super
love
interesting to
Venom.
hear him talk about the movie and the movie making process in general, because you mentioned that they filmed on 35 millimeter. They also have some shots like the porn scenes themselves, which are filmed on 16 millimeter, which is just like not
Yeah.
really used anymore. And they had to like go find older technology that was able to like work with that. And he's like really into that as a medium. And you know, he said like they had an editing table that broke 2 days before they started shooting. They had to go to a northern part of Paris and like get a new machine.
Wow.
But even just like the process of acquainting themselves with how movies were made back then, like the the technical elements of how you would make those films and how you would work with those materials was a cool learning curve that they had to do to get into this movie, and was like eye-opening in terms of what you can do with those films, like the atmosphere it
that.
creates, like really getting hands-on with the materials and the way that different materials can be so transformative for art.
Totally. I mean, like, it just makes it a believable 70s movie. You know, like it just really transports you to that time, even though it's set with M83's music. You know, that's just some like magical
You
fairy
mean
music. You know,
The director's brother.
no way.
Yeah,
Mhm.
one of the guys. That's why this like huge band did this like weird little indie film.
Well, I
It's
thought
because
M83 just
they're
had great
brothers.
taste.
They're brothers.
They do have great taste. I mean, they had not been collaborators for like 15 years before they got back together to do this movie. So,
That's sick. That's so awesome. Yeah, I love their music. So this was just such a treat. It was just like a sensory delight, like all around. Like I love it when a movie really goes that extra mile to think of everything. It's reminding me of The Love Witch, where they just
Mhm.
like really fucking nailed it, you know? And put like almost too much into every little detail. So I just it's like a visual feast, a sonic feast. All of it is a feast. Also, it's also gay porn on the screen. It was wonderful. It's having a great
You've
time.
got lesbians making out. You've got all
Yes.
kinds of queer people making out and simulating sex and having fun and going to the club.
Yes, it was amazing. And so many just like so many amazing characters. Like I really loved all the trans characters that came into play and like that like back and forth where they're like I'm not gonna be in your stupid movie. I like make way more money than that. Like just like all those little details. I want to go to the club that they went to where Moon was dancing.
The
Not
future.
necessarily the BDSM club at the beginning, the Leather Daddy club. I don't think that I would be able to handle that, but I wish that I could, but I can't. I know my limits. um, but yeah, it's just like a beautiful world. Also, that rainstorm scene. Can we talk about that really quickly?
Oh,
Yeah, where it like comes out of nowhere.
Yes, that was so crazy. Well, I was like, maybe that happens in France, or it's like a magical bad wind comes. But
I'm
that,
willing to believe it's a little bit of both.
yeah. Oh, that scene was really hard.
I loved that murder we get in that scene
Yes.
because when she is alone and she's
What's her name
separated,
again?
Mir Misa
Missia?
Misia?
Misia. I loved her.
uh
I'm so sad. Keep going.
and you know she's spinning around and you just see, and then all of a sudden in the
Mhm.
spins you see a blip of a black figure and it spins again and they're closer, and that was so, and then dead, and that was
Yeah.
just so, that might be my favorite scene of this movie, and there was so many
It was
good
really
ones.
cool. That was really, really cool. Cool death. I also what I think is a couple of them where they're like the person is being killed and they're like splicing it in with the like euphoric like happy porn scenes too. That was just such like dissonance, you know, for my little brain. Um and not to forget him, the second death, which was the guy who was unfortunately like addicted to heroin and he was passed out in the car.
Yeah.
Theory, yeah, something like that. THIE, several R's and a Y. That was crazy too because at first you are like, is he actually blowing this guy right now? And then it's just he's actually being stabbed through the head and the knife comes out the back of his head. That was cool.
A little bit of both, you know.
Yeah. This also was reminding me a little bit of Seven with the
Yeah,
knife dick related things.
I haven't
If
seen
you
that
haven't
movie.
seen it, then forget what I said, Chelsea, and we're gonna
Oh,
move on. So you
it's
don't know
forgotten.
anything.
It's gone.
It's gone. It's already forgotten. But like for the romantic story too, that windstorm scene where like they get caught up in Luis and Anne get caught up in like the
They're
storm
hiding
and
under the
running away
tree.
and
Mhm.
hide under the tree and have that kiss. It's just like so like I don't know, it was just relatable, and like how like when you go through a breakup you have to like learn how to like not do the relationship things with a person anymore, even if you know it doesn't work. It's just like you've been doing it for such a long time, and so I thought that was like a really human moment. even though it was like terribly confusing for both of them.
Yeah, the rubber band of just like pulling you back together and stretching apart, and you have these habits that are so easy to fall back into,
Yeah.
and no matter what you know about a relationship, the emotion is still there and still the same sometimes.
You don't
But then
just
you also get that
immediately
moment
fall out of
where
love.
yeah, but it does snap at one point too. I
That's
mean,
true.
I think it's what they did with their scenes are so interesting. The way they set it up almost from the very beginning with the phone call. And
Mhm.
then they build their sort of like tentative
the peeping
relationship on set.
Tom.
Yeah, she's peeping on her through the poster. And then
Yeah,
she's like, I'll
creepy.
take the dailies over to Louise. Like, don't you take the dailies, I'll take them up. She's just
Being a
she's
creep.
taking advantage of their professional relationship, but
Yeah.
also it's so intermingled and commingled. It can't be separated the way that Louise is saying, just work at work. That's all we have. Like, that's all we can do. We can have that, but we can only have that. Like, it can't be separated.
Yeah. And that brings us to like such a disgusting part of the movie where Anne's confused after that kiss and she's super fucked up. I think she's drunk and she like confronts Luis, and Luis is like immediately trying to run away. She's like, this is a bad situation. And she literally assaults like the love of her life. It's like so hard to watch.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
did not like watching that scene.
I was horrible. I was like, you can't come back from that. I was like rooting for them a little bit because I thought I was supposed to. And then that happened and I was like, oh no, there's no way that you can ever come back for that. And like I think that weirdly, because like Anne, I don't know, I think that Anne and the killer both have like warped and fucked up visions of what their love should be and what to do when it's taken away, and they both make bad choices once their love is taken from them, and obviously to different extents for sure. Anne's not going on a killing spree, but I'm wondering if that's like because that's at the root of it. That's why Anne's having these prophetic visions about guy's life, because why the fuck else, unless she's been a psychic her whole life.
Well, I mean, the thing is, and again, sorry, this is, well, whatever. If you're this far in to the episode and you haven't seen the movie, I think you've accepted that you're going to hear spoilers.
Yeah.
But the visions that she had of that other story must have been from years ago, because that movie, that pornography, was already made, and she calls it a moldy oldie at one point when they're in the theater and they show it at the end. So that must have been like way before the breakup, unless we're coming into the breakup several years later, but I don't think so. I think it's pretty fresh. So those have been going on, I think, probably for a long time. I think that's what happened when she had them, when she made that movie in the beginning, is like we see her doing it with this movie too, which, by the way, the name Homocidal, incredible, iconic, so funny,
so good.
clever.
Fucking funny. Way better than Anal Fury, though Anal Fury
Anal
slapped
Fury
as
5.
well.
Yeah. I
Anal
looked
Fury
up
5 slapped, but
Was it Anal Fury
Homocidal
6
Yeah.
or something like that?
Mm-hmm. I looked up the French, and the literal French translates, at least for Google Translate, just as the gay killer. So I don't know if there was like more clever wordplay there in French that I can't appreciate. But the homicidal, whatever they coming up with that for the English subtitles, incredible. But I think that was a really clear link in some ways about how she's immediately putting her life, real stories into her movies, and she doesn't necessarily realize that maybe that's what she's been doing all along, but it is what she's been doing all along.
Well, because she must have heard about a news story about what happened. Otherwise, how would she have copied that guy's story sort of and turned it into a porn? So it must have been
From her dreams.
Yeah, she's like psychically linked to this whole, and it doesn't explain how, but like I think she was like seeing it in her.
This was just destined to occur.
She thought that this was like artistic inspiration. She's just having visions of
And she
ideas
dreams
for
it in
her
film
art.
negatives.
Yeah, which is so cool. Really cool the way
Yeah.
that they do that.
Yeah.
And really cool the way they incorporate it into the movie. And so you're like not sure what you're seeing at first, but they do let you like clue in at some point when they I think when she's talking to the innkeeper's daughter, who's telling her about Guy Favre and his sad story and his sad mom out in the woods. And then they start to, as they explain it, I think you maybe see some of those images and you go, okay, that's what we've been seeing this whole time. That's what we're looking at.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's really the cyclical nature of the plot is really super interesting here.
Super interesting. And it also like, I don't know, that reveal is so incredible. Because just like imagine he's a bad guy. Okay, he's gone through a lot though. He's gone through a lot. Imagine a horrible thing has happened to you, and then you go to the gay porn theater to just have a nice time and relax. And then you see the horrible thing that happened to you. How did they know about it? They turned it into a gay porn. That could make a person snap. I could see that happening.
And it's like there's not even acknowledgement of the horrible thing that you went through on screen. They just get to have an orgy, and it's like I didn't even get to have an orgy.
I didn't even.
Right.
That's not fair.
And I could never have an orgy again. Well, you could.
You could. You just have to. Yeah,
could.
not the way that
It's
maybe
different than
not the way
maybe
they did on
wanted to.
screen for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. But I also really love that scene because every time I drive in Hollywood, well, not every time. When I'm on this one street, I can't remember what street, there is a theater on the side of the road, and it's called Tiki Adult Theater. And I have always wanted to know what goes down in Tiki Adult Theater. I'm like, I need to know. Want to go in there, but I'm fucking terrified. But now I have an idea, minus the killing, what goes on in Tiki Adult Theater. And it felt really informative to me. It scratched that itch for me a little bit. Is there a dark red light
Do they
room?
have different colored flashlights for you to wander around in the dark? Yeah, that was a cool scene also.
Sexy flashlight room?
Sometimes like they don't have that for women, you know? Like that's something that's just like for gay men, and that's fine. You can have your own thing, but like it's just so cool.
And like yeah, I don't know, like do they even have that to the same extent anymore? Because like I read and the band played on to bring it back to the AIDS crisis. And like a lot of the transmissions of HIV was in like bathhouses, which was like a great place to go have anonymous gay sex. Sounded honestly fucking sick. That shit did not come back after the AIDS crisis. That did not come back. So I'm like, did this sort of thing exist in the same way afterwards? It was kind of like, you know, because it's still going on today. I just did the AIDS life cycle literally last week. So this was like the perfect time for me to watch this movie. And it felt really poignant to me watching it like right after getting back. I got back 2 days ago. But yeah, it's still going on now. So it's like that is like something that's in the back of your mind. Like, so this was really like this period of time that can't be replicated. Again in the same way.
I always wonder like what would our culture and society be like if we didn't have AIDS?
I know. I mean, we would be so powerful because there would be thousands and thousands of more gay people around still. It's so tragic. It's so tragic.
Like,
There's this.
It really makes me sad.
It's so sad. Like on the ride, you see some of the like older cyclists that are out there, and not every single person, you know, is gay on the ride or whatever, but like 99%, like 90%. So if you see like an older person that's there, like you're like, okay, you're here. And you probably lost like all of your friends. And it's just like really, I don't know, puts it into perspective. There's like the ceremony on the last night where everyone lights a candle and like leaves them out. And like it's led by the, oh God, I can't remember what they're called right now. The Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence.
Perpetual Innocence?
No. The opposite of that.
Oh, Indulgence.
The Indulgence. It is Indulgence. Yeah. The Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence.
The opposite of that. You were so right for that.
It is the opposite of that. Yeah. and it's like just a beautiful ceremony. And you see people like breaking down because it's just like that whole generation was just decimated. And so we're so lucky to have the gay elders that we do have, you know?
And
I
like
was at
all the artists that we've like lost too.
Yeah.
And also just like the cultural pushback after the AIDS crisis. I was at Dyke Day this past weekend because this past weekend was Pride in LA. And someone was talking about how they got blessed by the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence there at the event, and how it was like really healing for them after their own like religious experiences that were not so welcoming. And to have that really connect to the harm that a lot of people have felt because of religion and because of religious persecution, or just the general how that's like leaked its way into I mean, not really a one-way street, but like the general culture being more homophobic, and the general culture in America being more I don't know. I also just watched the Duggar documentary, Happy Shiny People. Yeah, so like the rising like Christian fundamentalist fascist movement is really scary, and easily connected to all of that. You know, it goes all the way back. So
no, totally. Yeah, I don't know. Everything feels heavier this Pride Month. It's Pride Month. We're so happy, but it's just like we're in this fucking horrible climate right now where all of the fucking like fundamentalists are like
shit's
oh
bad.
no, the gays, they've become too powerful. We must rise up.
God
and I'm just
Target
like, fuck
sell
off.
a swimsuit.
Right.
It's like we've not become too powerful. We are powerful, but like still struggling for like basic shit, you know? And now they're like cutting us off. It's like,
and
it's
also
just,
it's still an incredibly small portion of the population. Get it together, guys.
Everybody calm down.
People need to fucking just stay in your own fucking lane. Let people live their goddamn lives. I don't understand why everyone needs to control everyone so much. Like, Jesus Christ. Get a hobby.
It's inappropriate for my child. Therefore, I have to eviscerate it from the world so that my child is never exposed to it. Guess what? If your child is gay, they're gonna be gay anyway. It might take them longer to figure it out, but it's not gonna erase it from them.
But exactly. Also, you learn how to parent because what you think is inappropriate for your child, I might not think is inappropriate for my child. Because I would absolutely bring my child to a drag brunch or a drag show. Like, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, it's not like we're like mandating children.
Performing. Come on,
we're indoctrinating them, guys. Slay.
Yeah, the gay agenda. I want all 5-year-olds to watch Rocky Horror Picture Show.
I mean, we're all gonna learn the time warp.
It's a fun song for parties, okay? Anyway, angry rant because we have every right. But yeah, no, this movie is like just super poignant. I mean, it came out in 2018, but I don't know. I really loved it. I really enjoyed it. Where were we in the film? Oh, blah blah blah.
I think we can kind of just talk about the end.
Yeah, this so it's a very sad story. So what you end up finding out is the killer is Guy Favre. Is that how you say his last name? Favre. Oh man, I really wish I spoke French. God, he'd make these beautiful sounds that I could never like. I don't even know. I looked at what the title of this movie is called in French, and I was like, that sounds way better than Knife Plus Heart. That sounds awesome.
And then,
but I could never.
Like, the actual translation is a knife through the heart.
Oh well,
that's
why
what it
didn't
is.
They call it that. That's way better. That's way
Knife Plus Heart is
better.
A little clunky.
Yeah, but it, like in France, what they say, it's like a knife through the heart.
Yeah, which also makes sense for Louise's untimely death. Sadly,
yes. Oh, so that part's so sad because she's already she's told Anne, I never want to fucking see you again. Fair, more than fair. Anne fucked it so hard. Like, Anne, I don't want to see you right now, even though you're beautiful and you have a great gap tooth. I don't want to see you after what you've done. You can't come back from that shit.
Cancelled.
But yeah, literally, that's the most valid way to get canceled. Anyway, but Louise is still doing her job. She's like, I'm gonna finish this movie, and then I'm gonna never see your bitch ass again. But when she's watching the film, she sees the part where Anne is in it and sees that spooky, creepy
Black figure in the
haired
back.
figure is creeping on the set. That's so scary that he was there on the set.
Did you go back and see if you could find him in the original footage of that scene? Because I didn't, but now I want to.
I didn't, because I was worried it would fuck up our shared viewing experience. I was like, I can't pause it because it might just take me to wherever Chelsea is in the movie.
But it's like we were watching it together in a way. Isn't that
So
sweet?
special. Yeah, I wonder if it's actually there. I'll go back and look after this, but
I'll go check now if I'm fast enough.
But yeah, Louise is like, oh fuck, like I need to warn her now because she seems to be the next target. And also just a little quick shout out to all of Louise's fits. They're so hot. Holy shit. She's gorgeous.
I mean, we saw her nipples multiple times, but the way she's wearing all of these open, really low cut shirts and her nipples are contained in those moments, incredible.
Oh,
This is why I want small titties.
Or even smaller. Yeah.
I want small titties. I just want
party boob holds me
so bad. Both of mine are just too big and I want them gone. I want to be able to wear like tops like that where like
you
know,
could be with a majorly taped down situation, but it's not the same.
It's not the same
lines.
Yeah, it's not the same.
You want to show off your tattoo of me and Alex on your chest. It's not actually our face. It's just for the listeners at home. That would be horrifying.
I have Monica's face tattooed between my breasts.
Do you imagine like Sydney takes her top off? You're like, wow, it's finally happening. And then there I am.
And what face are you making in it? Are you like doing a little kissy?
No, I have
a really scary face. No,
I have this one photo of Monica. If I was ever to get a person's face tattooed on my body, I have this one photo of Monica where she was on her way to like a Lana Del Rey show, and
no,
it's so the ugliest photo. I had it framed in my house for like a really long time. I would tattoo that on my body for sure.
I look like Poot Lovato if you're familiar. I look a lot like Poot. Anyway. But okay, anyway, back to more serious things. Louise, like, even though she's been so wronged by her, she's like, I still love her as a person. I'm gonna go fucking save her life, and like runs to find where Anne is to protect her, which is very sad. Because then she dies. I was super confused during that part too with the like lights flickering. Because they thought that she was in the same place as the film shoot was happening. Because they kept like throwing that huge switch to turn the lights on and off. And the lights were flickering where Louise was. But it was actually rats eating the wires. And it was completely unrelated. So I guess that was the point. I don't know. I was lost.
You didn't know who was safe and who wasn't in that moment.
Okay. I see what they're doing now.
Is the killer here? Is the killer there?
There. Where are they?
He's not with Louise, but that won't keep her safe.
I know. I'm just so sad that the guy with the eyeball painted on his forehead had to die at that point. I think his name in the movie, it doesn't even say on here. It was something Hombre. That was his like sex name. That was his porn man name. And I really liked him in all of his roles throughout the film. He had great roles. Remember the part when he's a cop and he uses his dirty toe?
Oh my god! Yeah. Remember when that guy, when the other cop or like his assistant he was like keep typing, and so he starts humping the typewriter and typing with his erection.
That was the funniest
thing. Great.
That was the funniest thing I've ever seen. Keep typing, and he's like, okay. Very important. Notes are being taken here.
Also, just in case you're wondering, you can't see the masked figure in the background of that scene, but that is primarily because what we see when Louise is editing is not what we're seeing of the scene, because we're not like watching from the cameraman's perspective the whole time. So
Okay. That's too bad. No, it's fine. We would have figured it out too early, and then
yeah,
it would have
yeah.
been bad.
We can't know he's there, and there's so much going on, and there's so many people. There's too much to pay attention to.
Totally.
Putting little Easter eggs in the background would have been hard to digest as well.
But yeah, the flicker, just the way that last scene, that scene we're talking about went down, where Louise is like running towards Anne, and the lights are flickering on and off. You don't know what's happening. It just was really well done. And then
and like raises her hand. It looks like she gets cut almost for a moment, but then when the lights come back on, it's Louise in her arms,
and it's right through the fucking heart. Man,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
unlucky. Ugh,
It
how she had
is
such good aim in the dark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unlucky.
So sad. But then they don't show her like, I don't know, a news story like being like she's dead or something like that. So I was like, she's still alive.
She's recovering, I think.
Maybe she's in the hospital and it's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
But it wasn't.
It's not.
It's not. She's dead. Spoiler alert, she's dead. It's so sad. But I did really the final showdown happens in the sex, what am I saying? Porn theater. Sex porn theater. Yeah, there's sex there as well. And I just love that like Anne's sad, and so she goes to the theater and she's gonna watch her movie on repeat.
They all seem to just be like hanging out, happy to watch it on repeat.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Nons or whatever
It's
his
the
name
premiere.
is.
Mhm.
He you know, he's excited. It's his first film. And he is really beautiful. So I get why they make such a big deal about him being so beautiful.
Like, he is like the definition of like baby girl, you know?
Yeah. God, I love a pretty boy. I love like a beautiful, like a woman boy. I love that.
Yeah,
So
like a
good for
beautiful
him.
feminine boy.
Ugh.
I love. That's my type of bisexual. All women and pretty boy men.
Mhm. Beautiful like a woman, man.
Beautiful like a
What's
woman
the
man.
theme here?
Also, rat men. I cannot explain it.
Oh, God damn it, Sydney.
yeah,
Yeah, you and
that's
your
a Sydney
rat
problem.
man.
I do.
Oh, wait, that guy actually does play both characters.
Yeah, I
The
saw
guy
that
who
on
plays-
IMDb. Because I kept waiting for Fuad to come back and like be a thing, and obviously it sort of was, but not as much in the way that I was expecting.
Yeah.
But yeah, interesting to note that he looks just like Fuad because he is Fuad.
He is Fuad.
He
Yeah,
is
yeah, yeah.
Fuad. IRL.
But yeah, I mean, I loved the nature of the story that they reveal in the end that this masked killer was Guy, and that he saw this film at the theater, and then he was like, "That's not my story." He went after them, but like just the interactions between that is so interesting to me, and it felt like kind of prom night-y, both in the same way that when I was watching Prom Night, I was kind of like fever dream-ish, but also in that it was like there's obviously it is a slasher movie. Obviously, we're sympathetic for a lot of the people being killed, but also there's like sympathy for the motivations here as well. Like it's not just
complex.
like full-hearted, this person is an evil little villain, especially in the parallels with Anne. It's like you can see like how you're driven to the point of violence sometimes. Not that you're not responsible for your violence, because you are, but like you can see how you get there to the point where you like are acting in ways that you don't recognize yourself anymore.
Yeah, totally. No, I love when they did that whole video montage where you see Guy and Hisham, I think that's how you say it, their whole story. It's just like two sweet little boys like figuring it out, and it was all taken away from them in the most gruesome way.
Because his dad found them, murdered the boy, and then lit the whole thing on.
Castrated his son as well.
Yeah, and then
Mhm.
lit it on fire.
Yeah.
And apparently, the son guy got away and was healed by the birds.
By the
and then,
birds, by the
and
blind,
then
healing, death-taking birds.
forgot his whole like what happened to him, and then he saw
Uh.
this film and was like, oh my god, this is my story, and then murdered everybody in the
me.
film.
Yeah. Sad.
Jesus.
Sad.
He's had a hard time. But yeah, I mean, and this was the allegory that we were talking about to the gay community having to help themselves through the AIDS crisis. Like the cops never do jack shit this whole movie except give the feather. That's it. That's pretty much it. That one cute cop gave him a feather. But at this moment in the end, like guy like takes another one of the film goers hostage and is trying to like make his escape, but then everyone in the porn theater is like, fuck you, you've been hunting this down, and they all gang up against him. And then the one guy who ends up stabbing the other man, how about that got confusing, the other man who ends up stabbing guy, was I supposed to know who that was? Or was he just a guy who was like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to stab him. Was I supposed to recognize him? I couldn't tell if I was supposed to. Because I didn't. And I was like, do I have face blindness?
I think we had like seen him in the theater watching, but I don't know. I don't think he was like a previous character known to us.
Okay, good. I was like, what did I miss?
I do love that they say fag in this scene again, and I was just like,
yeah, I mean, I just loved also the first guy who got up, because I was scared for him. That one guy who immediately ran out of the theater, I was like, relatable. But then everybody else started to get up. And I mean, again, not to bring it to some really dark places, but it reminded me of that attack on a gay bar that happened last year, where the patrons just like stomped the shit out of the shooter. And they said they took things in their own hands. There's not time to wait for authorities to respond sometimes, even if authorities are going to respond, which, wasn't the case in this movie. But they protected themselves. They protected their community. They said, there's a bunch of us here. You're one person, and we're going to stop you.
I'm going to fucking take you down. Yeah, it was, it's sad that they had to, commit a murder, but also it was catharsis, because that man was slaying people who were just trying to live their lives. So, yeah. And then, I thought the movie was over, and I was like, wow, I texted y'all. I was like, wow, these are really sexy credits. Wow. Cause it was like, everybody's like wearing white. They're writhing around. All of a sudden, Archibald is Mr. Tumnus out here. He's a fawn. I have a thing for fawns. And like, was it Neads? No, that's another thing in Greek mythology. Whatever, the half goat guys, love them. And so I was like, wow, this is so sexy. And then it turns into very sad and stuff.
Well, it's not meant to be sad, exactly. In this interview,
it's bittersweet.
Yeah, in this interview with the director, they said that, and I didn't put this together exactly myself, but they said that the film ends in heaven, so that scene is like heaven.
That is what heaven would be like.
That is exactly what heaven would be like.
Can't wait.
He said, I'm always quite scared of those bleak films that overwhelm the viewer. I like the noir genre, but I like those to end on a sort of positive, opportunistic note with just a beam of light to lighten up the ending.
Can get behind
that. He wanted something like kind of sweet at the end, especially given how much of the movie is about like the sexual freedom that existed at that time, and for those characters, how they're all just existing, being themselves, loving each other in whatever way until this is happening. And he wanted that for like the last moment too. So it's like this moment of like purity of heaven where they're all just coupled or thrupled up in the background, having a lovely time with each other.
And then, and Luis and Anne finally make peace, but they don't end up together even in that heaven. Luis fades to black with her really cool belt, by the way. Really want that belt.
Her really cool belt. That whole
Belt.
outfit smashed it.
Slapped. Angel outfit. Also, talk about someone who wore the best outfit ever for their ghost outfit. Just saying,
Yeah.
that's the energy you need to bring every day of your life.
Every
honey.
day.
You never know what's going to happen. You want to serve all the way to heaven or hell, whatever
You gotta
goes down.
serve cunt, okay?
You have
Yeah.
to slay.
Come on. Yeah, God, I love this movie. Well, it brings us to our segments. And now we ask a question that is almost impossible to answer, but we'll find a way. How could this movie be gayer? I would say right off the bat, if I saw more lesbians, that would be cool. But there was that scene with the show with the wolf
Yeah.
woman, and
They're
that's
at
all
the bar.
lesbians.
They have the club scene, which is like pretty sapphic, and then
Yes.
Moon and Louise are hooking up, and obviously
Yeah.
we have Louise and Anne's relationship. We have the lesbian bar with the mauling on stage.
A hot
we
lesbian
have
mauling.
Yeah, we have the other bar where they're like hanging out, and that's where the trans women come in and end up being part of the film. And we have that other lady who comes over and is talking to them and then makes out with one of the queer actors. And so we have that like bisexual moment as well.
Oh yes, I love that part. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I was like immediately back to back. We are the movies like bi rights, trans rights, like
Yes.
everything.
Yeah, I had no qualms, man. I had a great time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't really know how it could be much gayer. I feel like they really covered the spectrum pretty well.
They
Did
covered
they
it,
have
they really
anyone
knocked it.
who's intersex? I guess maybe not canonically.
But no
they
one came out
didn't-
and said, "I'm this, I'm that."
Yeah, yeah. So
they
I mean,
could've.
you can read whatever you want. To me,
Mm.
somebody here is asexual for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Don't know, not sure who it is yet, but I'll pick a fave later. But yeah, I mean, they really are. I felt like there's a little something for everybody for sure.
Yeah. No, it was really well rounded in that way. Perfect gay pride movie. Damn. Thank you, listeners. Fuck. I had never heard of this before. I'm so jazzed we did it.
They just know what we
okay.
like so much.
Yeah. And we were like, we need the gayest thing. And you were like, here it is.
And
Thank
there were
you.
like two face cum shots side by side.
Yes.
Oh, that
in the
was
movie,
great.
I loved that part. That was great.
which is
Also,
really
Artful looks-
thematic with the idol. Wasn't there? I mean, I'm not watching that show, so I don't really know what's in it, but I know everybody was
haven't watched it
saying
yet. Don't
that
spoil it.
that there's a cum shot or whatever in that film as well.
Is there? I'm not watching
There's
it.
discussion about it. I don't know what actually
I wanna
makes
watch
the
it.
scene or
Problematic
what
of
just
me.
gets discussed in the show. You know what I mean?
I want to see it. I'm
Well,
probably gonna.
Monica
It's within
can
your
tell
power
us.
to do so. I mean,
I'm
yeah,
gonna
report
watch
back.
it. I'm sorry. Anyway,
It
where
had
would
really bad
Matthew-
numbers for the premiere, so I think you're safe.
Okay, fine. Where would Matthew Lillard fit into this film?
He could be one of the cops that's like just constantly smoking cigarettes.
I think that's a nice, comfortable place to put him without any worry about how he would feel about his casting in this
Yeah.
one.
That sounds great. He could be the nice cop that gives the feather.
He could be the innkeeper.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He could be the bird expert extraordinaire out in the
Oh,
woods.
with the hand. That's
yes.
it.
Yes. Yes.
There
He's
we
the
go.
Birdman.
There we
He's
go.
the Birdman. There you go. Perfect.
Birdman.
He could also be
Perfect.
not the Birdman, but the lady who is the owner of the store who works with the Birdman.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Either way, he could be mysterious in the
Because
middle
I
of the
liked
forest.
the Birdman. I think we should keep him.
I loved him. Yeah, he was great. I think that that's perfect. But I would like for him to have a prosthetic hand.
He could be the door person at the club who's like, "What's the password?"
That was a lady.
I know, but Matthew Lillard can play whatever role he wants.
Yeah, that's true. Also, I really I thought that person was very hot, so I don't want them to go.
Maybe
could
he's
be-
just they're
I
like a
wouldn't be
team.
with the
They're
birds.
like they're together. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
And then they
There's two
say in
bouncers.
unison, what's the password?
But in French, what's the password?
Mm-hmm.
I'm so excited for Matthew to learn French for this role. Maybe he already
Like
knows.
you just
bet he
have to
knows
learn
that
this
phrase.
one line, and it's what's
Qu'est-ce
the
que c'est un
password?
password? Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, that brings us to the dumb bitch. Who is the dumb bitch in this movie? This is a hard one because everyone has so many layers.
I think it's
Okay.
Anne.
It's Anne.
It's
yeah.
Anne.
She did
Anne.
a
It's
sexual
Anne.
assault, you know, like
Yeah, Anne was being a fucking stone cold bitch for like the whole first thing. And then she solves a crime, but like a little too late.
Yeah.
it doesn't make up for it.
No. It's Anne.
She
It's Anne
was-
over
it's-
the fucking switch big dildo killer. Like it's Anne over
Yeah,
Guy for
Listen,
sure.
He created a switchblade dildo. That man is not
innovative.
a dumb
He's
bitch.
very
He's
smart.
innovative.
He's very smart.
And if
He's
Anne
gone through a
hadn't
lot.
stolen his life rights in the first place,
Exactly. And honey, don't you should
and don't
She
be
thought
so
she was
close
having
up
an
to your
original-
gift.
an original dream, but
If
it
she
was
knew,
plagiarized.
Missia tells Anne that she is like too shut off from it, basically. And she like tries to pull away. So if she would just be in tune with herself and what's going on with her and her powers, then I think, we would have had a really different story here. And she would have more empathy, perhaps, for the stories of the real people that she's telling instead of making them so silly and fictionalized in her gay porns.
Yep, exactly.
It's Anne. All right, well, that brings us to our knives out of fives, and I'm curious to see what the critical reception was of this movie.
The critical reception overall was positive. You'll see a little bit of range in the numbers, but overall, I think it was pretty well received. It definitely made the film circuit. I think it debuted at Cannes, but I'm not totally certain. It definitely played there, and was nominated for 2 different awards there. But on IMDb, it has 6.3 out of 10, which is pretty good. And then on Rotten Tomatoes, it has 81% fresh from critics and 71% fresh from audiences. So overall, people definitely enjoyed this film, or at least appreciated it.
Well, I can go first.
Okay.
I'm gonna give this 5 knives out of 5. I fucking loved it. I thought it was a masterpiece. I was blown away, and I'm really, really, really glad that I saw it, and especially in the timing that I saw it. I just was very meaningful after my recent experience at AIDS Life Cycle, and I will cherish this movie. And I'm gonna make Adam watch it. I'm gonna make other people watch it. It was really beautiful. It was like a work of art. And I love horror movies. Not all of them are works of art. This was a work of art. So 5 out of 5.
This is a work of art.
Mhm.
This movie, I had a really good time with this movie. I don't normally like, elevated stuff. I wish it was like a little bit more scary. Like the first 2 kills.
Yeah.
I needed more switchblade dildo. We only got 2 and then they were done. And
then he was like bringing out a regular knife, and it's like,
and
what
I
about
was
the
like,
dildo?
where did the switchblade dildo go? Like, I want to see more like people getting stabbed in the butt, sucking, giving a dildo a blowjob, and then the knife going through literally
bursting through,
like skull.
Yeah.
If there was more of that, this movie would have been a 4.5, but I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I really liked it. Like I said, it was not necessarily the most fun film. I love to have fun when I'm watching a scary movie. That's like my personal favorite experience usually. But when a movie is just like really, really well done, it's hard to deny that. And I don't really have any notes for this movie about what I would have wanted to see differently, what I would have wanted to change. So I don't really know that I could give it lower than like a 4.5 for sure, because there's just not really anything I would tweak exactly. I think probably I'll go even higher than that. Because I don't know. I'm curious to see how I would feel on a second watch. Definitely, I think I would appreciate a lot of the elements more now that I have the background knowledge. I didn't want to research the film before starting the film, obviously.
Smart.
You didn't want to spoil
Spoilers.
anything. But it is really beautiful. It is really well done. It is I really like the technical elements and the way that they built this story and put the film together. I think there is a lot of really interesting work that they did there. So I think probably I will give it 5 knives. I thought it was beautiful.
Yay. That's awesome. I really want to watch another Giallo and then watch this again so I can feel that even deeper. I got the vibes from it because I'm watching so many 70s movies, but I haven't watched a Giallo in a second. I'm gonna watch one tomorrow. Deep Red's a Giallo, right? I'm gonna watch Deep Red. Anyway, so I want to watch it again with that context. I feel like this one's gonna have more layers once you see other films that it was referencing. So that's awesome. Oh, I'm so glad we did this. Well, spookies, we have extra exciting content coming for you soon. Don't you love having one episode a week? I sure do. Well, next week or this week, you're going to get another one. Oh my God. Bonus. We are collabing with a really cool pod. Raiders of the Lost pod asked us to do a crossover episode, and we're doing a 70s and 80s horror draft. So that's why I've watched how many movies? 12,
10.
in the last
Yeah.
72 hours. Because I found out I had a lot of blanks in my knowledge of those decades, but we're filling them, baby. But yeah, I'm really excited. I've never done a draft before. Have y'all done a draft episode or anything like that, or just drafts in general?
We actually have a podcast have done a draft before.
But it wasn't like this. We did
draft.
do a draft,
Yeah.
not a live
No.
draft. That's what I'm talking about. A live draft.
I do fantasy football draft every year, but not a movie draft. So I'm very excited. And one thing that I am incredibly excited about is now Monica gets why I love old school horror
The
movies.
old school.
Oh my God. Yeah. All the ones that I've seen, I've always loved so much, but I never grew up watching that shit because my parents are old, but they hate horror. They hate this shit. They would never show me this shit because they have never seen it. So yeah, my eyes are opened and they have seen 1,000 boobs, like I said. But yeah, it's gonna be really, really fun, and I'm excited to meet James and Anthony. So I think it's gonna be a blast. So that'll come out on
to get your favorite movie.
Yeah, and we're gonna have to fight to the death to see who
Fight
has
each
the
other,
best
fight
team
them.
of horror movies or something. I don't know. I'm a little still confused about how drafts work, but we're gonna figure it out before Thursday. So it comes out on Thursday. So keep your eyes peeled for that. But Sydney, what is the next Spooky Tuesday episode? Let the
Okay.
listeners know.
So it's going to be, the last movie for Pride Month. And we're going a little unconventional, a little more
Ooh.
chill because,
Cozy
this
horror.
week-
Isn't that what everybody's been talking about lately? Cozy horror.
Yeah, this is
Oh.
cozy horror. And it's our first animated movie. And you two haven't seen it, but it's Paranorman, which is one of my favorite movies.
I've heard of
What?
it, and I love it's like claymation, right?
Mm-hmm.
I love claymation. So it's gonna slap. And every other claymation horror movie thing that I've ever seen was great. So I'm sure this is gonna slap. And it's gay.
I hear there's a gay in there for sure. Yeah. Can't wait to find out who. Can't wait to meet him.
I looked it up, so I know.
Yeah.
Monica!
Sorry, I was like, why? How Paranorman's gay? And I was like, how? And then
Google
the internet
Paranorman
told
gay
me.
question
Ugh,
mark.
Yeah, that's literally what I googled.
How could you?
Sorry, I was just doing a little googling. I love,
But
to
we don't
look
have the
things
context
up.
for it yet.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's
I
so
don't
much more
know.
to be revealed.
I watched the trailer and it was one that just had a song, and so I had no idea what it's about. Still, I have no idea. I'm assuming there's someone named Norman, and that's all I know.
There is somebody
Honestly,
named Norman.
I just keep thinking about Hotel Transylvania, so I'll be very excited and curious to learn
I
the
keep thinking
differences
it's
between these two films.
Oh my god. Ugh. Okay. Well, we just had a very heavy and beautiful conversation, and it was well articulated, and everybody had a great time. So why not say, wow, that was really poignant in a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, or just give us 5 stars on Spotify. We're getting pretty close to 100 ratings on Spotify, and you could be
Gorgeous.
one of those. Or you could do that interact thing that's on Spotify that I keep forgetting about, and it's always exciting when people do it. So you could reply on this one and be like, wow, that was poignant. There you go. Another opportunity.
That's all we need. Somebody just say "atta girls."
Yeah.
I love that.
I would love that. Atta girls.
Atta
Poignant
girls.
is hard to spell. That sounds way better and easier and will make us feel just as good.
If not
and why
better.
Oh yeah, totally. And why not follow us on social media? We're at spooky_Tuesday on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. We're also at Spooky Tuesday Pod on Tumblr and Facebook, and at Spooky Tuesday on Letterboxd. And as I've said, every day of my life, forever, all the time. Thank you for listening. See you next Tuesday.
Bye, spookies.
Ça te fait bander de tuer des PD, c'est ça?
Spooky Tuesday was created by Monica Haidt, Sydney Thompson, and Chelsea Duff, and edited by Sydney Thompson. Our gorgeously spooky tunes are all thanks to Tamara Simons, who you can follow on Instagram at Captain Tamara, and our podcast art is by Mary Murphy, who you can find on Instagram at the_moon_OMG.